All right. Welcome, watch fans, to another exciting episode of our watch market update auction preview. Today we are focusing on the Sotheby's Paris auction next week. They got some really interesting watches. Of course, from the usual suspects: Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Rolex. A couple of independents. They got some interesting oddball watches from Ulysse Nardin, Cartier, Breguet. I mean, there's actually pretty interesting selection. We're going to start off with kind of, the usual suspects. They got some modern stuff they have sprinkled in here. And again, when it comes to these auctions, really the only thing I would ever buy at auction is, again, usually something vintage that you can't find on the secondary market, like the watches we're looking at right here. First couple of lots. Yeah, the first couple of lots are things you can pretty much get cheaper on the secondary market. I would much rather buy on the secondary market, with a dealer that you could actually talk to, that you have a relationship with, and you can negotiate deals. If something is wrong, you can get a return. With auctions, again, you gotta keep in mind 26% buyer premium, and there's kind of a pain in the ass dealing with auctions also. So before we get into it, make sure that hang on one second. We get a link. Baron, I actually emailed you the link. But here it is. Anybody else that also wants to join in a little bit later, but Baron, there is your link. Before we get into it, make sure that, we have a lot of people who are signing up for our new weekly newsletter, which is launching next week. And this is going to be great. By the way, you get this newsletter. All you got to do is click the link in the bottom of the video description. Below the video description, there's a link to get our free weekly newsletter. Click that link, just put in your email, press enter, that's it, you're done. It takes you 2 seconds. And what you're going to get is latest watch market news, auction results, previews, gossip, rumors, a lot of information, special deals, also special deals on some rare, unique watches. Again, click the link in the video description below, and we'll get started. Baron, can you hear me?
Yes.
Red Baron. All right, Red Baron. We're gonna get into this now. Did you have a chance to look over a couple of these lots? Do you have anything that grabbed your interest, your attention?
Yeah, I did see a couple of pieces that were interesting, but overall, I felt like this collection, I think it had like a cohesive kind of feel to it. So I guess comments are going to be sparse on my end on this one. Okay. But there were, yeah.
I know they have some Breguet. They got your favorite. They got the Breguets.
Yes. You know what? The piece that really did catch my eye, though, there were a couple of Pateks. There was the, I believe it's a blue dial. It's a perpetual with the chronograph function. I was just thinking, it's like, wow, they put a lot of technology into such a small package.
We'll definitely go through them. So we got so let's start off here. We got a couple of, look, as I was saying before you jumped on, like all the modern watches that they have, pretty much all of this is going to sell. There's not going to be any bargains in modern stuff. I mean, you're almost better off getting this on the secondary market. I'm going to kind of skip through this. It's kind of the usual stuff from Patek. Let's kind of go through. We'll get into some kind of more interesting things. Let's see here. We got interestingly enough, lot 358 here. We got two of the infamous Archie luxury watches, the Patek annual calendar. This is, these are actually, and by the way, this is full set. This is a full set. It's probably going to sell for I think it's probably going to be maybe sort of mid, somewhere in that range, maybe 18,000 euros. So it'll probably be like 25 grand all in, with premium, roughly, full set. And then, of course, we have the infamous travel time. The infamous travel time. Now, this one comes without the machete chips, no machete chips, and it does come with an extract from the archives. I would add this. The box papers, the box is not really that important. You definitely want to get at least the extract from the archives when you're getting to the Patek. The rest of the stuff you can assemble. It's not that important, but you definitely want to have this because look, most people will at least, any serious collector will at least keep that reference with the little folder. So, and this is going to go probably for probably 25 grand, 26 grand all in over here. Let's roll through. Okay, I got the usual Nautilus. I want to kind of go through here. Kind of get the usual, the basic modern stuff. Now they got some interesting stuff coming in here. Actually, I want to bring your attention to this. The Daytonas with the racing dials. I get a feeling that these might become a thing. The racing dial, because there's always somebody wants something. There's always a new thing, and I think the Daytona with the racing dial is going to be a thing at some point. So worth considering.
I agree, because it's got like such a different look to it. And I'm also reminded that someone said, I think this year there's a lot of Rolex collectors turning 3, as of in reference to that they got into collecting at the beginning of the pandemic. So this is something I could see them kind of just, I don't want to say evolving into, but they're just kind of getting bored of the traditional looking Rolexes that they've been dealing with, and then so they're going to something like this, which is a little bit more unique. And then as time goes on, their tastes are going to evolve even more to something like that's more refined.
Yeah, no, this is right. Interesting point. And this is, of course, this is white gold, right? So this is you're not going to come across a Daytona like this too often. I mean, how often are you going to come across this? Not too often. I don't even know if there's one on the secondary market like this, because it's a kind of an oddball piece, right? It's very different. I don't think they made too many of these. I wonder how many they made. Probably not too many. Let me see. Daytona racing dial. Hang on. Let me take a look. While I'm doing this, let me go on Chrono, and I'm just curious now what they have, because I should have had this prepared, but you know what? I'm not a fan of these. Let me see. Let's see.
So, Colonel, just as a general question, while you're looking that up, so last week we looked at a smaller auction site, Loop This.
Oh yeah.
And then this week, we're looking at Sotheby's, which is a huge auction house. So, do you feel like the size of the auction house is going to kind of determine like how much of a good deal you're going to get? I mean, obviously you're going to see more rare pieces, on a large auction site. But would the kind of just average person getting into a high-end piece be better off, looking at pieces from smaller auction sites such as This?
Oh, okay. So, by the way, interesting question. Really good point. Now, by the way, I did just look on Chrono, and there's a bunch of them. They're like in the 30s. They're going in the 30s. Hang on a second. We got. Look at this. We got a bunch of comments. JD from Montreal. Okay. That's funny. Let me go here. There we go. So basically, interesting point. So I would say, the problem with the internet is that very quickly everybody knows everything. And so there's the information arbitrage doesn't really exist that much. So pretty much price is going to be universal. Although I think, it's really weird. Like just when you think you found something that, oh my God, it's some like weird obscure auction house, whatever. Nobody's gonna. No, believe me, the day of the sale, like right when the lot comes up, like everybody's gonna come out of the woodwork, and people are gonna come out of nowhere. That's what happens now because there is no more hidden secrets. The internet is all the internet. It's everything. Everybody knows everything today. So that's kind of the situation. But yeah, this is kind of luck again. So this is right now 22,000 euros. So it'll probably get to, again, these are going for 33 grand in the US dollars, about 33,000 US dollars. So, but again, I think the racing dolls are going to have a thing. I don't know. I don't have, it's just a feeling I have. It's not any kind of, I don't have any data. There's no data. Again, big difference between this like racing dial, this like cool dial versus like this, which is kind of, I don't know, basic. Slight difference. I don't know, very slight difference. You know what it is? The difference is because the numbers are around. You know what I mean? They're going around. They're not. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. It gives it a more casual kind of look, and especially the was that yellow gold on the second piece.
Yeah. So this, when the numbers are kind of how do you say, when they're like going around, it feels more dynamic. I guess that's what it's called, racing dial. It's got more of like it's more of a dynamic look. Okay, so let's get into some interesting stuff here. So here's where we get. So the vintage stuff is really kind of where they're going to get most of their action. So they have this pre-Daytona, right? Which, again, I find these, when it comes to this vintage Rolex stuff, it's hard for me to get into it because I find a lot of the stuff very ugly. With these like chimsy bracelets, it's more of a, there's like people who are into the history of the watch. To me, the aesthetics do nothing. I mean, like, not because it's old, just because it just does nothing. Comes with a box though. And okay, so 20,000 euro, and no bids yet. That's interesting. Okay, no action on this yet. Let's take a look here. What else? Okay, so this is interesting. So I have a Patek chronograph, 1952, and you know what this is? Look at this. This is like a beautiful, clean dial. It's like just very modern looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big lugs, 19 grand, or actually 19,000 euros, the current bid. So it looks like they got some pretty decent interest so far. So this is probably going to do well. There's a lot of people who are into the Patek chronographs. This stuff is definitely going to do well. Now, this is interesting. You'll never see something like this, right? This is a 1919 Patek. Technically, it's technically it might be a woman's watch. Technically, maybe not. I guess around 19, they were kind of around that time. They were sort of going from, men only wearing pocket watches, and after the First World War, people started going right around that time. They started wearing wristwatches, because of the pilots and the military. So it's kind of that very early wristwatch. Beautiful. I mean, I know you're into these numbers. This is kind of like these Breguet type numbers, no?
Not quite. Okay, so looking at this, it kind of reminds me of like maybe like a Frank Mueller. Just the way that they're doing the numbering.
Frank Mueller copied this. It's funny, they have another Frank Mueller. They have a Frank Mueller in this auction later on. It's the same look. Right, this kind of like early Art Deco type of look. I mean, it's cool. It's pretty cool.
It's definitely different. Okay, so now I'm wondering if someone is looking to get this, right? And let's say they've got a small collection. They've got, let's say, maybe 5 or 6 watches, right? They're looking to expand their collection. Like, is this something that they would get? And if they do get it, is this a piece that should be worn? Let's say something like on daily, once a week or more.
Wow, so I think for something like this, I think realistically, if somebody got this, they're probably more into like the historical aspect. This is not a weekly. This is more of like it's more of like a safe queen. It's more of like maybe like once a month, break it out or something. I don't think anybody's gonna. Yeah, it's like it's too. It's not that it's that valuable. I mean, relatively speaking, for Patek, but it's like, it's just very rare. So it's kind of probably delicate. By the way, you notice it's a curved case. Hang on a second. It's a curved case. Look at this. But I don't see any problem. I don't see any reason why you couldn't wear this once a week. I don't see it. And listen, why not? If you can get the, it's probably, might sell for what? Like, let's call 20 grand, which is not cheap. But again, it's, I could see somebody wearing it like, once a week. Why not? One of the things I think is gonna get some traction at some point is gonna be pocket watches, because there's like incredible values there today. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, look at this. You get a Patek minute repeater, perpetual calendar, rose gold case. It's going to sell for what, 60 grand. Now, if it was a wristwatch minute repeater perpetual, would be like, $500,000. I would argue that you're getting a lot more value because you got a lot more dial space. You have a lot more real estate.
Yeah. Okay, so then the question becomes, it's like, okay, so I could definitely see, just like now, I think the pocket watch collectors it's like a super niche kind of category. But is it gonna grow to such a rate where you're just walking down the street, let's say in an affluent area where people wear high-end watches, like how many of those people you pass by, 25 people, how many of those are going to be into pocket watches? Because I'm also thinking, to check the time, it's incredibly inconvenient to kind of have to pull out, a pocket watch.
Yeah, no, because here's the thing, you need the right clothes to do it. You need either a vest, right? You need to be either wearing a vest, which has a little pocket watch, a little thing. Also, you're gonna need a chain. You need the right chain, right? You need the right accessories. You got to find the matching chain. Okay, but we're not gonna get into that. But you got to have a vest, or you got to have pants or trousers with a little pocket watch, a little pocket, the little pocket, the little pocket for the pocket watch, little watch pocket, or as I think they call it,
the hip pocket. I think that's what they call it.
Okay, so jeans, like any Levi jeans or whatever, they have that little pocket, right? The little watch pocket. That was really for watches. Now I put my keys in there. And most of my pants have that. I have that little pocket because that's where I like to keep my keys, because I don't like to have my keys like in my pocket because they're kind of like, it just, it's when it's in that little pocket, then it kind of stays snug. It doesn't bounce around. It doesn't like, but then I think about, okay, so if I were to wear this, I would either have to wear a vest, which is only really would be in the winter or the fall, right? I think I only have one suit with a vest. I have one suit with a vest, right? And like, it's and then or with the pants, I have I have a few pants which have both dual pockets, but it's a limiting thing. But here's what I think is going to happen, right? So again, I'm giving you kind of the complication, right? Because like, again, how many people are wearing vests? How many people are actually, no, vests are coming back with 3-piece suits. But I do think that you do see in the last probably like 10 years or so, you have seen the kind of these like, the hipster guys, they start wearing the keys on a keychain, on a long chain, or a pocket watch and a long chain, the jeans, and it's sort of like a steampunk thing. So you do see that. And I think you will have a move towards this because I think you're going to see a move towards this because, everything goes to extremes, right? Because the world has become so casual that I think that you have seen kind of the 3-piece suit making a comeback in the last, let's call it 5, 6, 7 years. Pre-COVID, it was starting to make a comeback. COVID, put a damper on things, but I think it's going to come back. I think there's going to be, because again, it's you always have, you know how it is. You have like you have the Reformation, and you have a counter Reformation. You have a counter trend. So I think there's going to be a counter cyclical rally. And look, you have, pocket watches were traditionally, I mean, that was, I think, from what this is going back before my time. I'm not that old, but from what I understand is most watch collectors up until 1990 were collecting pocket watches. The big shift happened, I think, in the late 80s when there was a big auction by what's the name? Anyway. They had a big auction, and the wristwatches took off, and all of a sudden people had like this aha moment, and then they started taking wristwatches seriously, like vintage wristwatches. Before that, like 90% of the collector market was pocket watches. But listen, things change, right? Because again, the people who are buying the pocket watches in the 80s, they were probably, they grew up with pocket. I mean, people are still wearing pocket watches in the 50s and 60s. People did, the vests. I mean, people wore 3-piece suits, into the 80s. Mm-hmm. It was pretty, standard. 70s. So, I mean, it wasn't big. But it was a thing. It was a thing. So I think this will have a rally, especially for real complications. So I think there's some real bargains in these complications. And you know what? I'm hearing this from savvy collectors. But again, these guys have been saying this for the last 10 years. But I think at some point, people are going to wake up. So this is Peña y Sobrino. This is the dealer. Spanish market, Madrid. Really cool. I mean, this is just an incredible piece of horological history. I mean, I'm assuming this functions, right? I'm assuming this functions. But listen, here's the thing. The thing with a pocket watch, okay, so back to what you were saying. If you're going to wear one, if you're going to go through all the hassle of wearing one, it's going to have to be something like this. It's going to have to be like some crazy, it's going to have to be to make it worth your while,
Yeah.
You know what? Like, listen, if I'm spending 60 grand on a pocket watch, 80 grand, by the way, this is like kind of the top range of these, right? If you're spending, 50 grand on a minute repeater Patek Philippe, perpetual calendar, you'll make an effort to, have a couple of 3-piece suits and wear this, whenever, right? Like, or whatever, or wear it with your jeans. You can pop it into the Levi's, no problem.
All right. So Colonel, let me ask you this then, right? Okay. So if your thesis is that the pocket watch, is going to come back into, well, not style, but the market for the pocket watch is going to grow at a let's say at a more than fair rate, then how do you feel about the future of Bovet, right? And I bring that up because Bovet, they have one of their lines of watches where it's like a wristwatch that can convert into a pocket watch.
I hate Bovet. I don't get that. I can't stand them. I find them repulsive. Yeah, I can't get into it. But okay, so it's interesting what you said. Okay, so you're like, let's look at, okay, so I'm not expecting there to be like a massive, all of a sudden this is going to be the next hype thing, but it could be. I mean, but again, it wouldn't take a lot to move the market, right? It's just like a slight upside surprise, because right now the market is dead. Nobody's buying these pocket watches except for like real serious collectors. Very serious, like, like really, well, look at this. Look at this coin age. I mean, this is stunning for $5 grand. By the way, the gold content. Don't forget, this is probably like 1.5 ounces of gold. There's like $4,000 in gold in here almost, and it's going to sell for $6 grand. Let's see what is okay. The notes here. Whoa! Look at this. Whoa! Look at this. Wait. It's presented. We have the Philippe family, as in Patek Philippe. No, until Louis Ben. Whoa! Wait a minute. This was from the Philippe family, I guess, of Patek Philippe. Apparently, right?
Yeah.
Louis,
looks like it. So
look at this. Yeah, this is the real Philippe. This thing here Look at this whole, get a whole story here. I mean, this is I think in this whole auction, this is the watch to get. Look at this beautiful watch. Wow. I mean, this is the type of thing that I hate that thing with this bullshit that they say. Oh, it's like that Kevin. What's his name? Kevin. That shithead Kevin. What's his name?
O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary. You know his favorite. Yeah. Oh, hey, this is a conversation starter. This is a conversation starter. This watch. Well, let me tell you something. This is the conversation starter. I mean, imagine it. I mean, like, you show up to one of these watch meetings with all these fucking watch nerds. You got these guys with their Omega Speedmasters. You got Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, there with his. He's going to show up with two Rolex Daytonas, with a rainbow Daytona and some other stupid thing. You show up in a three-piece suit with this on a chain, right? And then you pull out the little extract. You keep that unfolded in your pocket. You show this whole thing. You show this whole. That's a real, because this is the real. This is from the family of Patek Philippe. It's not a Patek Philippe. This is from the Philippe family, literally. I mean, this thing is more Philippe than Stern. I mean, this is the real Philippe. Wow. Unbelievable. So okay. So Baron, this is the great thing about auctions. This is what you get at auctions. You get crazy stuff comes up, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so what's interesting, this is in Paris, right? So there's gonna be a lot of Euro trash type stuff, Russian oligarch type watches. Yeah, because a lot of them end up in Paris. The guys with money, they end up in France, or they come through France, and they love Ulysse Nardin. This is the type of stuff they were or Breguet. So we'll see that later on. But they got a lot of weirds. Okay, so early Milgauss.
So just going back real quick. Is it really France? Because I heard that it's the big collectors are in Italy and Japan.
No. Okay, so no, but the Russians go through France basically. So in other words, they have a lot of Ulysse Nardins in there, and I think those are probably from Russians who, I think it's the type of stuff a Russian oligarch would have bought in late 1990s or early 2000s. And it's the Russians love Paris. It's the type of stuff that probably they ended up there. So again, when I think of Ulysse Nardin, I think of mid-level Russian oligarch basically.
Well, UN did. They did spend a whole bunch of money marketing to the Russian market. That's why when the sanctions started, they took a hit.
That was I think 80% of the market at one point. I don't know why. For some reason, that was a big thing. I don't know. That and Breguet. I don't know. It's whatever. It's a taste thing. I don't know. The different cultures. I don't know. I know Breguet, but Ulysse Nardin, I never understood exactly why, but who knows? Okay, so this is the Milgauss. Again, I can't get into this this historical importance of the watch. Okay, whatever. I just don't get these tomato can watches. Look at this cheap bracelet. Look at this cheap metal, tomato can metal. But I'm not the buyer. Okay, this is interesting. Let's get into something interesting and crazy. So, the Rolex Datejusts with the exotic dials can get big money. The vintage Datejust, right? Big money. Malachite, Tiger Eye, whatever. So this is something they did kind of rare, right? This is I think 07, 08, right? 08. So you have the diamond dial. They also have this rubber strap, this factory rubber with diamonds. I mean, this is basically a jewelry piece. I mean, it's a jewelry piece, right? It's white gold. You have these black sapphires on the bezel. I mean, it's basically a piece of jewelry. And I looked up. So these are going for retail around 50 grand, roughly ballpark 50 grand retail. And they have the estimate, I don't know. I think somebody might. I mean, this probably is going to sell for maybe somewhere in the 25,000 euros. So 30,000 all in, maybe 32,000 all in for this. Would you buy this?
Personally, no. But when I was looking through the watches, though, I saw that. For a second there, I was like, is this factory? I thought, I was like, oh, is this like an aftermarket piece? But I was like, wait, no, they wouldn't do an aftermarket piece at this auction. So
No.
yeah, okay. So I think that there is like a current market for this, because if you look at the last year's new watch releases by Breguet, they have a very similar piece. They call it seaweed or something like that. So I guess the wavy jewels are multicolored in the Breguet piece, and instead of horizontal, they're vertical. But it has like a similar kind of like feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
So I mean,
I think this is ugly, but it's so ugly that there is like a market for it. It's like one of these things that's so hideous that there is a. I mean, it's not that hideous. I mean, there are things worse, but it's pretty gaudy. It's pretty gaudy. I mean, at least it's white gold, so it's not that bad. And you got the zebra thing, which makes it look kind of interesting. But yeah, there is a real collector market for these like oddball dolls. And I think this type of watch is your money is gonna be safe because people are collecting. They like these oddball pieces.
Yeah, and especially since it's kind of like, it's not like they produce a lot of unusual pieces like this. It's not like, oh, every year we've got like a new weird piece.
No, I think this was only one off. I think this was like a 1 year run. I think this is like a one, And you got the bracelet, the rubber strap, I should say, the rubber strap with diamonds. I mean, it's interesting. Okay, so you got okay. Now look at this. This is almost the exact watch. I mean, this is the dial I have, except I have the bark. But look how good this looks on a blue strap. When you got a blue sunburst dial. I mean, you can't see the sunburst there, but again, if you can pick this up for under 10 grand, I think it's a great deal. It's a good value,
Mm-hmm.
Very versatile. Whatever. Let's see. Okay, so let's move along. The interesting stuff is coming up now. We're going to get into some interesting pieces here. Let's see. Okay, so you got this Royal Oak. This is a 36 millimeter, full gold. And I think there's something happening here with, I don't know if it's a photo, or I think something happened with the logo. It almost has this like Tiffany blue. You see this?
Yeah. Are you talking about the flat portion where the logo is compared to the rest of the dial?
Yeah, the name, the Audemars Piguet and Audemars. It's like, it looks like a kind of like a Tiffany blue, like a robin's egg blue.
Yeah, it does look a little different from the rest of the dial, but it could also.
Are you there? Hello. Okay, your internet went out. Okay, I think something weird happened with that watch in terms of the patina. I don't think that this is the. Let's see if there's notes on here. Is there notes? What they write? Yeah. I don't know what they have here. Okay, I think it's something weird happened with this patina. That's how they got this blue. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on to, and this is what right now it's 20,000 euros the bid, and this is like a $50,000 watch at retail. Oh, actually not 50,000, 35 to 40,000. This sells for 35 to 40 grand, and again because of this kind of weird patina on the logo, it might get decent money. But yeah, this is going to sell for. They had a very low estimate. This is not the real. This is like this is just a sucker estimate. It's probably going to go for 30,000 plus euros. Easy. Baron, are you there? Oh, Baron, are you? Hello.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Yep. I'm here.
You disappeared, and I didn't realize I had to bring you back on. You popped off. So I was talking about the patina, the logo patina. It looks like some sort of like Tiffany blue almost. What happened here?
Yep. So I don't know if you heard me, but I was speculating that perhaps it has to do with, all right, because I believe where the text is, right, that is it's flat as opposed to the rest of the dial, which has the brocading. So it could just be because of the brocading, it changes the perception of the color as opposed to the flat piece. So you just see the natural color of the metal.
I've never seen this before. I've never seen this type of. No, I've never seen. Look at the watch. This is in rough shape. This watch has definitely been worn. Look at this. I mean, look at this close up. You can see this thing has definitely been worn. I mean, this is how the watch. I mean, this is basically how it should look after. I mean, this is a 30-year-old watch. So
Yeah.
it's definitely
right. Okay. So how do you feel about this size for the Royal Oak versus some of the larger sizes? Because as the watch kind of I guess grows in size, it changes the proportions of the dial to the bezel.
You know what? Okay. So personally, for me, 36 is like the ideal size. Like I have this exact size, 36. The dial, because again, you want to get, the dial is a beautiful dial. You really do want it kind of like, you want to get as much dial as possible, and especially with the newer ones, which have the really beautiful engraving. So I think probably like 39. Is it 39? What is it? They do 39. Yeah, 39 millimeter is the ideal size, I think. I can't wear 39 because for whatever reason, just flares out. But I think 39 is probably the ideal size, because after that, it kind of gets, again, the proportions, because it's not just the dial and the whole thing. It gets kind of weird. It gets like look at this guy here. Look at this one is, I don't know, because of you see how weird it looks? And this is
it looks off a little bit. There's something about it.
Yeah, it looks off, and this is a 40 millimeter. It looks like the dial is too small. They did something with the bezel, or the bezel. I don't know. Something is off. Now, here's what's interesting. This is kind of this oddball Royal Oak with this weird lug situation. You see the weird lug situation over there?
Mm-hmm.
They did this for a while in the 90s, and people don't like these at all. I'm thinking to myself, like, at some point they're going to get to, I think at some point they're going to get to this kind of vintage vibe where people are going to say, wow, this is cool. I don't think we're there yet. I mean, right now it looks ugly, but it's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah. All right. So I think the issue with the integrated strap or bracelet portion is that the lugs there, they look kind of smooth as opposed to the rest of the watch, which is kind of like angular. So you've got a bunch of angles, and all of a sudden it's just kind of like smooth there. So it just kind of like it's off. That's what throws it off.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it basically they. I think what happened was, I think this is what they were doing. When they went from the integrated bracelet to doing a strap, they couldn't figure out how to do the strap. So that's how to connect the strap. So they did it like this. And then if you look at lot 401, which is the later version, the modern version, then they basically just took the old design and they added those two pieces, the little links, whatever, the little link connectors, whatever you want to call it, and that was your connection to the strap to some degree. So it's kind of, I don't know. To me, I don't know. Somehow, it's hard to find one of these that looks good. I don't know. It's weird. The proportions really have to work for these things to work. But let's see. Let's get into what else we got here. Let's move along on here. Okay, so let's see what are the deals. Okay, we're gonna get into some interesting stuff. We're almost there. Okay, so you got one of these perpetual calendars. They got two of these. They have three in this auction. These are really coming out of the woodwork. There's a lot more of these than people imagine. Now, this is the difference with this is you have the display back. So most of them are closed. Here you got a display back and you got a full set. Wow, look at this. Full set. This could get some decent money. 1989. This is like one of the early versions. Wow, look at this. You got this patina on it. I mean, this is pretty cool. This might get some decent money because our retailers could go for, I don't know. Today they're trying to get like 18, 20 grand or more. But again, you get the display back, which could be, I haven't seen that many display back versions.
Yeah, I can see why they did the display back for this one. Like the movement perfectly fits the case on this one. So out of any piece that they do, this is the one to do the display back on.
Look at this. Let me see. What do they have here? What are they saying? Certificate of origin. Okay. Wait. Now this is. Okay, I think. Okay, so the particular. Okay, so this model. Is this a different model? Okay, 244 examples with the display back. Is that what that's all they did? Okay. Okay, look at this, and they have some writing. What is it? Okay, continue perpetual. Okay, that's the information. Yeah, look at this. It's got like writing all over. I mean, it's got on the back, on the sides. You got like, they got like they're trying to fit everything in there. This is a pretty cool watch. This might get some decent money. Okay, so it's already above the high estimate. It's 12,000 euro, and yeah, this might get some decent money. Could get 20,000 euro. Okay, and this is the classic one. This is the basic bitch one, right? This is the one we've seen with a closed back. Yeah. Whoa, what does it say? Okay, interesting. Yeah. So this uses the JLC movement. That's right, the Je le culte. And look, they notice it. It was used for this and the Patek Nautilus 3700. I mean, that's why JLC is the watchmaker's watchmaker. Really good value.
Okay, so between this one, this one's a looker. It has such presence to this one, just because the contrast.
And look at this. This looks like the John Mayer dial, right? Or I should say, John Mayer copy. I mean, this is where he got this from. I mean, the guy doesn't really. I don't know. It's like his music. I think I only heard he's not that original in any aspect. I mean, that's maybe why he made so much money, because he's sort of like inoffensive. I mean, the dial. Look at this. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, this thing is whoa.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, everything about this watch is amazing. It's just like the case as well. Just the design on the case. It's almost like a royal oak. It's kind of like a royal oak, but they added like this little, I guess it's almost like a nautical type of theme, vaguely nautical.
I mean, it's like an octagonal case. You see, it's like an octagonal case, really.
Yeah.
And they added these little elements. What are they saying here? Let's see. 1980. Okay. Finally traced Tuscan blue dial. Tuscan blue. Okay, the dial was made by Stern Frere. Vibrant aubergine. So it's a purple. It's a purple. Oh, turned into a purple. Excuse me. Turned purple. Yeah. 1985. Really interesting. Platinum. So, a couple of years ago, you couldn't give this watch away. Like, maybe 5 years ago, this was like 15 grand. And you couldn't give it away at 15 grand. I mean, this is, and, this might get some decent money. Now, you were saying something about this guy. Were you saying something about between the two? Here we go. Baron. Okay. So were you saying something between the two watches, between this guy and?
Yeah. So okay, not the one with the black dial, but that one versus the previous one we looked at. I was just wanted your thoughts on if you had a preference between the two, because it feels like the
display back.
The second one.
Are you talking about the display back?
Yeah. So the one with the display back versus. Yep. That one compared to the other one that doesn't have the display back. So now on the front, the dials, it looks different. It looks like it stands out more because I think there's more contrast in the colors on the.
Oh yeah, okay. So you know what it is? Okay, so some of them have in the.
So I just wanted your thoughts on if you had a preference between the two.
Okay, so let me look closer because I almost overlooked the dials. So they have different dials, they have different variations. Some of them, the sub dials are kind of like recessed, like this one is recessed, and then you have ones which are flat. Now I like the recessed because it gives it more, presence. And this one is flat. See, big difference to me, anyway. I would much rather get this example with the recessed dials and the display back. I mean, because this is great. Wow, fire engines here. Okay. So, let's see here. We got the chronograph here. Is this gold? Yeah, white gold. Okay, white gold. Let me see here. This is kind of boring. I don't know. This is kind of boring. To me, this is kind of boring. I think is kind of interesting, which is probably kind of a value that nobody likes. Everybody hates these, which is these millinery. The AP millinery watches. You can get these for like 10 grand basically.
So, okay, so that is an interesting dial, but I'm also thinking the watch market. I think like every so often they try to bring back that I want to say general type of shape where it's kind of like wider than it is tall. And yeah. I think it just doesn't do very well. So the most recent example I'm thinking about is the Cartier Drive, which was released, which was like a handful of years ago. I forget how many, maybe like 5 or something like that. But they got discontinued like shortly after. I mean, they're beautiful watches in photos, but when you actually see one, when you see one on wrist, when you see one on wrist, it's kind of like it looks like you're about to watch TV on your wrist. That's what it looks like.
I actually like that look. I like the drive. I just don't like the movement. I don't like the thing. Something about it. I think it didn't have a display. I don't know. I like the look of. I like the basic look of the drive. I actually do like the look of some of the models. I like the TV dial look. But this this is a dual time, so I think it's a JLC movement, right? It's like it's the same. It's like, but they do this weird thing. It's almost like hard. They get this. They have a date. They have a date wheel. They have the dual time at the bottom. The power reserve. So it's a little bit overdone. Now this is kind of, let me see here. They got another variation here. Now that I think about it, you know what it is? The problem is the case is interesting. I think the case is interesting, but the way they have the movement, it's kind of like, look, the form has to follow function. Like when you have this kind of like crazy stuff happening, it's just like mental masturbation. It doesn't do anything for me. I actually do like if they had an interesting dial, I think it would be okay. So here we go. Okay, so we're getting into the Submariner gold.
Colonel, just real quick. So going back to the previous watch now, I'm thinking, okay, so it's a JLC. Does the brand impact what the market's willing to accept in terms of design from what they're putting out, right? Because by looking at that watch, I would not have thought it's like, okay, no, this is kind of like a JLC watch. I'm thinking more like, oh, it would come more from like a fashion house, like it could be like an Hermès or an LV.
Yeah,
like
no,
coming from their design team.
Yeah, I don't. It's no. I mean, the movement is a JLC movement. I mean, the dial is some weird, like they did something weird here with this. I don't understand what this millinery. I don't get the millinery thing. I don't get it. But look at this. JLC did the movement for this watch, for the Perpetual. They did movements for. I mean, they're. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think the JLC is deeply underrated for what they are. I think there's tremendous value there. So let's see here. We got this the Submariner. God, what is? Well, it must be some big fire somewhere. All right. So this watch in a blue dial. I think this is like a. I think this is a kind of like a really. I'm thinking actually trading in, getting rid of the my two-tone bluesy, the King Tut, and just getting a this one of these full gold, the gold case, head only, on a strap, with this kind of nipple blue, the blue dial with the nipple dial. With the blue, it looks so much better though. This is what is it, black?
It has a completely different feel than your bluesy.
No, completely. I mean, the problem is, what it is? The problem is the bluesy thing is the king or the King. I'll use the King Tut so it doesn't sound like the pedestrian. It's a victim. It's a victim of its own success. It's such a beautiful watch, but because it's so much, like so many tomato cans bought that watch in the last 30 years, it's become like a cliche. It's become a cliche. Yeah, no, the gold looks much better. Okay, so let's see what else they have here. Let's go into this Submariner, the James Bond. Okay, they got these Submariners. Who cares about these Submariners? Let's go through. Okay, Cartier. So they got some interesting. Oh, hang on. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so they're getting some. Again, the problem with these auctions. Look at this. So they have this Hulk. They get the Rolex Submariner Hulk. The current, so they had an estimate of 10 to 15,000 euro. Now the bid is 17,000 euro, and you got a 26% premium. So it's going to be like 22 grand by the time if you get at that price, and you can get one of these on a secondary market for like 16 grand. So, it's weird. It's weird things happen with these. I don't know. Some people, I think a lot of people just maybe they don't like buying. They think they're going to get a better deal at auction when they really don't. It's very strange. Okay, let's get into this Cartier. The Cartiers, I think, are going to do really well. Again, this is like really like kind of their more exotic stuff here. So Platinum Skeleton 2005. Yeah. To me, these really do nothing. It's almost like the Royal Oak in a way. Like, they have the same kind of case and they just keep playing around with different versions. But I think on the Royal Oak, you can do so much more,
Yeah.
But it's the same type of thing.
How do you feel about skeleton watches in general?
I'm not a fan because, like, what's the point? Like, you can't read it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I want to read the time.
Yeah. So this was one of the pieces that caught my eye when I was just flipping through the watches. So something like this, right? And then I was like, this is definitely like a high end piece, but I wasn't sure exactly how I felt about it. Just because it's like, I guess I'm not kind of in that price bracket where it's like, I think when you hit a certain point, watches become less about telling time and it becomes more about just kind of like, I don't want to even say the word design. It's just more about like just like showing off.
Yeah.
Like they start adding non-time elements to the watch.
Yeah, I think this thing is listen, I think there's just so much hype with this Cartier right now. I think there's just too much hype. Like I don't get it. Like what is okay, I don't know. What is this? What is this thing? I don't see the value there. I don't see the value. Again, they just keep playing around with variations, kind of like the way, again, like kind of like what AP does with the Royal Oak a little bit. But I don't know, for some reason, like AP I think gets away with it better. It's just like it's too much. It's like too. I don't know. It's like I think that because the case is so small, the dial's smaller. Things just you don't get your. I feel like you don't get your money's worth on these in terms of if you're going to do something unique.
It's also, I think, I think it's also more difficult for Cartier to implement new things into their watches just because of the size limitations.
Yeah. Okay, this is interesting. So this is an India 50th anniversary, India independence. I don't know if this is a men's or women. I mean, I think this is I don't know what this is. Hang on. But this is, I think I think it's a kind of a both. But I think what's very interesting is, it's for the Indian market, right? 50th anniversary of independence. And, I'm very bullish on India. I think that, actually we have a video on the channel about certain watches are going to do well because, look, the Indian economy is really starting to boom. You're gonna have a real middle class emerge. I mean, you have one now, but it's kind of like India is today, where China was, 20 years ago, right? I mean, literally, they're today where China was 20 years ago, and they have 1.5 billion people, and they're all young. That's the thing. So they have a young population. So I think that there's going to be a lot of watch buyers coming out of India. A lot of guys making money, whether it's like, they're in these telemarketing rooms or, whatever it is, right? And, what's the first thing that they buy? A Rolex. I mean, Rolex, right? They want like an internationally known brand, Rolex. And, Indians love gold, like especially in bright colors, right? So, like that's why I'm actually bullish on the Bluesy, right? The King Tut with steel and gold, because it's got the vibrant blue dial. It's got enough gold. It's accessible, and also the date, 36 millimeter. I think those are going to be watches that are going to have a very strong bid from Indians in the next couple of years. So this is kind of a macroeconomic commentary.
No, that's good, because I was also thinking about, I was like, okay, so now the Indian market though, right? When they're looking to buy, so we've got, the nouveau riche coming into the market. Are they going to want vintage as opposed to new?
No, everybody wants more. Well, no, I think they're going to be open to. No, when I say I don't mean vintage. No, when I say I'm talking about neo vintage. Like the bluesy is neo vintage. It's a neo vintage watch, really. I mean, it's not even.
Yeah.
It's like a modern watch. Nobody, it looks. I mean, it's basically anything from the '90s is fine. '80s, yeah, it's fine.
Okay. No. So what I meant was, are they going to want a, I guess like a modern watch that's currently in production?
Oh yeah. No, I think
yeah.
No, it's going to be pretty much. Listen, it's going to be like whatever. I think with the Rolex, right? I think with the Rolex, people are fine. I don't get this thing where I think with Rolex, I think people are fine buying, the current production and versus stuff made in the last 20 years, because they look the same. It's the same. I mean, it looks basically the same. Slight differences. It's kind of like, I mean, it's like the Maserati. Do you buy the new Maserati or the 2008? And they look the same. It's the same. I mean, they have slight differences, but the differences are so small, and there's also a lot of advantages in the previous generation watches. So I think it's going to be one of those things where, people will be, they'll buy across the whole spectrum. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just had to think about it for a little bit, because I'm also thinking about, like, okay, so if you're new money coming into the market, right, you're going to want,
No, I think
kind of like showing off side, right? So
yeah, but I think
yeah. Well,
I would say when it comes to watches, like, which are expensive, right? I think the average person who's buying a watch, who's like semi-serious, they do a lot of research online. They're looking at videos on YouTube for months before they buy, right? Months, maybe even years, right? There's guys looking at stuff for years before they buy. And by that time, they've looked at so much stuff, they've done so much research that they kind of know between, the vintage, the modern. And I think also, I would say also it's a new generation. Like, for example, the nouveau riche coming into the market are very different than the Russians or the Chinese were, 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, they didn't really have, information on watches online. There was no information really. It was sort of like, they go to a Rolex store. Okay, I'll take this. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Today, there's a lot of information. So people, but I think most people, like when you bought your Breguet, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, did you just buy it, or did you spend a lot of time thinking and looking at different stuff?
Oh, I definitely spent a lot of time looking at different brands until I finally settled on Breguet. Is right. Then which model do I want?
Yeah, and listen, the Indians are, I think generally they tend to do more like research, and they're going to be, a lot of research. They're gonna look at different stuff. So it's not going to be like what it was 20 years ago, where people just walked into a retail store and bought. And also it wasn't available. I mean, now it's not available, or it's not as available. So I think people are becoming much more sophisticated overall. Just overall, across all cultures. So it's, quick comment, Buff. If that's a woman's watch. I don't know. Listen, Cartier, I think Cartier, they are kind of small. They do look, I mean, Cartier is, Cartier, the problem with Cartier, I think, is this. They're mostly make women's watch. I mean, most of their watches are really made for women. I think that's one of the things that's kind of working against them. I'm not bullish on this whole Cartier thing where it's like going to be this, my God. I think it's just a thing. It's just a little pop. This is a beautiful.
Okay, so not necessarily, because it's Okay, so I saw an article not too long ago that, well, okay, no, the article itself was maybe like a couple years old, but basically it said that women, in terms of the watch market, over, I think it was like $1,200, the women make up something like, it was some number like 54% of the watch market for watches over $1,200.
Yeah. No, but
So,
no,
so
but no. Cartier is mostly. I mean, 70% of their production is women's watches.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
think.
so that's what I'm saying is kind of just it's going to keep them in the spotlight, right? It's going to keep the attention on them. So yeah, so I agree with you that in terms of, for the men's market, they might not necessarily grow, but I think Cartier is they're solidly entrenched in their position in the
Oh
watch
yeah,
market.
yeah. No. Not no. No. I mean, they really they have such a. I mean, they're a huge force. I just think this whole like thing with a lot of interest in the vintage or the neo vintage. Like, I mean, it's kind of. I think it's a bit of a bubble. I think it's a bit of a hype thing. I don't see this as like becoming as. It's not like a mega trend like a Royal Oak. It's not like that type of thing. It's not like along the. I think it's just kind of a fad, um, in terms of. But back to this. Look, this is an amazing watch. This pocket watch over here, this square shape.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is a good value. 3 grand. Um, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so these are like okay, so like I don't know who's buying this type of stuff like this. Who buys this? Okay, so we're getting some Breguets here. Uh, this looks like it might be up your alley with this. Look at this dial.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that is an interesting dial, but I don't like watches that don't have a seconds hand.
Oh,
It's yeah,
oh,
because I'm always wondering, is oh, is it running? Is it running?
wow. The thing that bothers me about this watch is you get this weird mix of kind of this very traditional and this very modern texture here.
Yeah, the guilloche design. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too
So, but
modern.
it's good to see that they're trying different stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, there's different ways of doing it. I think it's a little okay. So this is okay. Here you go. Okay, we've got some Breguet. Let's see. They got some interesting stuff. A little bit further in. Okay, so okay, so the Vacheron, the dual time. I think we saw one last week. It went for 30,000 at Loop.
Hmm.
This one is a black dial, which I think looks really good. Black and rose gold looks like really good. Uh, so yes, this is probably going to 40 grand, right? 40 grand. Um, yeah, not bad. Let's see here. Uh,
So, just as a general question, how do you feel about that implementation of the dual time? Right? Because I've seen a lot of other brands do the same thing as well, where they have, I guess it's the watch face where it keeps the second time on a sub dial.
yeah, no, I love that. I have that. I mean, I love that. I love having the second times on a sub dial. And also, I think this is the JLC movement, right? Let me see, is it? It's got to be the same JLC. It's got to be the JLC movement. Uh, Contemporary. It's got to be a JLC. It doesn't say. It's got to be the J. It's the same exact. It's the same exact design. With the date wheel, the day and night. Yeah, it's the same exact wall. It's a JLC movement. Uh, yeah. So they have one in this auction. Look at this. So okay, this is 35 grand full gold. Now watch this. They have over here same exact watch, but you also have this window where you see the cities. You can move it and see the city. So it gives you
Yeah.
more. And
The world time feature, yeah.
And this is going to go for, like, 10 grand basically. Full box set. So this is, yeah. So I basically have a slightly older version of this. Is mine older? Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure if mine is older because I have the case back. No, but this is, I mean, for 10 grand, this is a great deal. I mean, it's the same thing you saw on the Vacheron. I mean, for a third the price. Except, I mean, then you don't need all the gold. Look at, and here you go in white gold. Oh, this is, by the way, this is what we saw. This same watch. Hold on a second. This is the same watch that was at Loop this. Remember?
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, we talked about it because I asked you about the power indicator. I thought it was a stuffed dial for something else.
Yeah, and theirs was banged up. Let me see. I think that auction ended. Let me see. Did we have? Maybe we could cover it. We could go through. Okay, well, they got some of the results. We can go through some of the results. Let's see. I'm gonna pull it up. So that watch at Loop this.
Yep.
Sold for $6,000. Including premium. And by the way, $6,000 for a banged up watch that you need a new strap for and without the box papers. And here, this is probably going to go for, this is, I mean, it should be like under 10 grand. It's a good deal. And it's definitely going to be under 10 grand. And look, this is I don't think this has ever been worn. Or maybe a couple times. Yeah. Wow. That's. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, for the other auction, from Loop this, could you also bring up the Blanc Pan we were looking at?
Yeah,
the chronograph.
Yeah, we're gonna end up. Well, yeah, we're gonna finish this one real quick. I just want to look at a couple things. So, okay, we got a couple things to look at. Then we'll jump to the results. Okay, so this is JLC minute repeater. This is one of these things which, again, at auction you might be able to get a good deal because there's maybe one of these on the secondary market. These are kind of rare. Interesting watch. I mean, just like, again, it's not my thing. It's just interesting to look at. It might somebody might get a good deal. I don't think this is going to get any crazy numbers because, again, it's just such a weird. It's like one of these things that you can get a good deal at auction because so few people want this, and you might get lucky basically. So. Let's take a look here. Let me see what else they got here. They have anything else interesting?
Oh, real quick, we got a question from Buff asking for the opinion on the Vacheron bezel. So Buff, would you be a little bit more specific about? Are you talking about the overseas?
Yeah, I think he's talking about. Yeah. What do you think of that? What's your take on that bezel? Let's pull it back up. Let's pull up that bezel. What do you think of this bezel?
All right, so I think we've discussed this previously, but that was in regards to the one that had the diamonds. Set in. Yeah. So for this, I'm actually on the fence about the bezel because it's different. It kind of goes with the case, and then I guess my big gripe with it was that in the version with the diamonds, it also had the tourbillon, and on top of the tourbillon, they had the Maltese cross. I think it's just to hold in the tourbillon, and then they had they've got the theme on the bezel, and they got the theme on the bracelet. And I thought it's just too much. It's just too much going on. But on this particular watch where you don't have the tourbillon, so now it's just kind of on the bezel and then on the bracelet. I kind of like it on the bezel. It gives it breaks up the the face of the watch, the case.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing that I don't like is that you have it looks like the type of thing where a lot of dirt is going to get trapped in those little crevices, on the on the surface there, and you have so much exposed space, it's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me. I only like the one with the diamonds only because it looked so cool. On this, it's just, I don't know, it looks a little bit contrived. For me, it's contrived. I mean, if the price was cheap enough, I could get into it, but like, to me, there's no value here. Like, I wouldn't pay this type of money for this watch because it's just, it doesn't do it for me. Like the Royal Oak is so much better. I mean, and it's the same watch. The Royal Oak has the same type of dual time, without the date. Okay, without the date. Actually, I'm sure they have a date. I'm not sure. No, I don't think they have a date. I don't know. Like, I'm not really a fan. I'm not a fan of it really. The one with the diamonds, that watch just looks amazing. Okay, so they got some interesting stuff. A couple of vintage, and we'll move along. Okay, so they got this Omega, $5,000, right, for this 60s. This is like, I think it's a kind of a cool watch. Like, it has that 60s look. It really has that kind of space age look. I mean, let me see what 18. Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably the type of watch that you could find. You can find these all over the place for like $3,000 probably. At like, they made millions of these, but if you can find one of these for like $3,000, $3,500, it's a kind of a cool watch. Well, actually, look at this. I'm just looking at the bracelet here. Oh shit, it's got like a cheap. I don't like that. I think they got like a cheap. Well, actually, no, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me see. What is it? Can we see the whole thing? I don't know. Are the links did they have that like kind of hollowed out thing going on? I don't know. It's like an interesting vintage thing. It's like a hipster watch. Hipster 60s watch. Yeah. Okay, so they got Laurent Ferrier. Okay, we'll go through this real quick on here. Laurent Ferrier. I don't know. Tight.
So how do you feel about that brand in general?
I don't understand it. I don't understand them. Like, I don't like, why would somebody want to buy this? Like, what do you get here? Like, what's so unique about this?
Yeah, that's exactly my thought. It's like, it's a newer brand. It's a new modern brand, and I know a lot of technology goes into the watch and into producing it, but it's just the design itself doesn't stand out enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like one of these brands where it's like this guy Bill Sanders. Bill Sanders, right? It's like one of his, he's into these weird watches where he wants to tell you all about the horology and it's like my thing about the Langenzone, right? It's like everybody wants to show you the back they want to show you the movement. I want to see. I'm looking at the dial, the dial, the whole case. Everything here is ugly. I mean, it's very. I don't even want to say it's basic. It's just ugly. It does nothing for me. It's nothing original here. There's really nothing original here at all. I mean, it's like very inspired by, I mean, we can go through a whole list of, which watches inspired this. Nautilus, Ingenieur. I mean, like, we can go through a whole list, laundry list. Like, I don't get, like, why was what is such a big deal? Like, about somebody did something unique about the movement? Like, I don't really care. It's like somebody says, oh, yeah, I got this Honda. It's got a 12-cylinder engine in it. Okay. I mean, all right. Okay, so here we go. Yeah. This is the oligarch watches, Ulysse Nardin's. So this is the stuff they were doing in the 90s, like these crazy.
Yeah, that watch is perfect. It's so gaudy.
Yeah, it says Ulysse right on the thing. It's got also astronomical complication. It's got. I mean, this is. But again, this is the type of thing like that. A guy who just made some money. In some sort of kickback or some, shady transaction in Moscow in 1999. First thing they do is they come to Paris and, he's walking around. He's got money to burn. He sees this. And he says, wow, this is like so important. This has got to be so, very advanced or very, right away. This is the type of thing they would buy. I mean, I'm sure it's a very advanced, like, I'm not even going to read the whole description. It's obviously it's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But you know what? Listen, actually, now the price. Listen, look at this. It's 14,000 euro, right? So it's there is a real market for these. There is a market for these. So it's not like there's definitely a market for these. Let's take a look here. Another one here, Kepler. Look at this. Look at this. 20,000. Look at it. See, 20,000 euro. It was an 8 to 12,000 estimate. It's already 20. You also got to realize there's also going to be a lot of guys, like in that whole market, like the Russian market. There's going to be a whole bunch of guys who saw this watch when they were maybe 20 or whatever, and they didn't have the money then. Today they can buy it, and the prices are cheaper. So they have kind of a fan base for these watches. Look at this. They got 3 of these watches here. Different complications. There's probably one guy trying to buy them all. Okay, so let me see what else we got. Okay, so Hublot, not even going to look at that. Hublot, Panerai, garbage. Okay, this is the same dial as the Patek. The Frank Mueller here. There we go. Yeah. This is the one right here. Yeah. This thing really fell hard. Really. I mean, this was like the hottest brand. Like 20 years ago, this was the hottest brand. 25 years ago. And this is a this is perpetual calendar? Wait, this is a triple cal. Okay, so triple annual calendar. So this is a real complication. It's going to sell for maybe $6,000 in white gold. I actually think it's a pretty decent value for triple calendar, white gold, big watch. How big is this? This is 44 millimeter. Yeah, it's a big watch. Okay, here we go. Harry Winston. Again, this is like the Bill Sanders type of thing. So here you got a dual time, right? It's 43 millimeter. It's a huge block of gold. And this is like serious horology. And it's going to sell for, under 10 grand. There's like good values in these, I think. Probably Bill Sanders is buying all of these. Okay, so let's jump into the loop this real quick. Okay.
Yeah. So from the loop disc auction, I was I was thinking about like putting in a bid for the Blancpain. It caught my attention. Yeah. I thought about it, and then I was like, I don't know. I generally don't like chronographs, but this is a good looking watch.
$4,600. It sold for $4,600. Do you regret it now?
No, not really. Because I was thinking, okay, like how much would I be willing to pay for this? I was thinking, all right, like probably I was thinking like 45. I was like, if I can get it 45 all in, I'd be a buyer.
So it was $100 actually more.
Yeah,
but it was below the estimate. I mean, this is a pretty good. I mean, again, it's Blancpain, okay, but I mean, it's a pretty good value for this money. 4,500. We're talking about just value wise, just good looking watch.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through some of these numbers. Let's go through the numbers of the loop. This. All right, so the star of the show, which was this Japan edition Aquanaut. All right. Now this was the estimate was 40 to 60. Remember we said this would get some crazy number, and it did. $80,000. 81,000. Excuse me.
So I'm actually not surprised, because it's like I think the Nautilus Spire, if you're buying it, on the secondary market, like you're especially for a limited edition, like you're ready to pay big bucks for it.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're going to go for Nautilus,
So I'm actually not surprised that it blew.
81 grand. It's a lot of money. I think what were we talking about? Were we making bets or something last week? What did we say on the video? I think we threw out some numbers, maybe some. No, 81 grand is a lot. I mean, 81 grand is that's like real money. This is a stainless steel watch. I mean, it's a relatively let me see it.
Yeah, but if you're buying an Aquanaut, right, at a huge premium, I think you're.
Oh, you're saying
you're the type person. Yeah, so you're the type of person that would have a lot of disposable income, and then you're ready to just spend whatever to get that watch.
Yeah,
so,
what is it?
Even if it went up to So if it actually hit like 100,000, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. No, what is it? In for a penny, in for a pound, right? It's sort of like, okay, if they were going to go for something like that, they might as well get some, pay a little extra and get some crazy. Ooh, the blue dial is beautiful. Okay, so this Moser, 60 to 100, right? And it's sold at the bottom of the range. Again, the Moser, people are buying these Mosers. I mean, these Mosers are selling. But they're not getting big money.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, but Moser, they have a a strong following.
Yeah, somebody. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so this was the AP we talked about, and so yeah, this was This is a strong price. This was not a bargain. So 6 to 8, it sold for 71. Yeah, this is Yeah, these are. It's actually pretty good. I mean, I'm surprised. This actually, I would have thought that this might have gone for less money. But yeah, I thought this would sell cheap. The Blanc Pan was I think a real bargain here, at $4,600.
Yeah.
Now this was $6,000 for a banged up watch. $6,000 for a banged up watch. No box, no papers. I don't think this. I mean, this was no great deal, because again, we're seeing a new one. Like, I don't know, what would you rather get? Would you rather get this watch for $6,000, banged up, no box papers, and you got to get a new strap right away because that one is wrecked?
Mm-hmm.
So either you pay $6,000 for that, or would you pay $3,000 more, for one in basically new condition with box papers?
Okay, so I think if you are the type of buyer that is in that price bracket, you're more price sensitive. So I think you'd be more likely to go with the $6,000.
Really?
Just because you want the watch, and if you're gonna wear it, I guess the feeling is like, all right, if you're gonna wear it, it's gonna look like that at some point anyway. So.
Yeah, but at least it'll start off. And also, here's the thing: you don't know where it's been. You don't know because it looks like it's. You don't know. I would rather pay the $3,000. I think. Listen, I think anybody who's paying $6,000 for that type of watch has a couple of grand extra, and for that watch, you really want one in good condition. You should pay the extra price. I think this was a mistake. Like, this $6,000 was a mistake. I mean, for $4,000, I'm tempted. At $4,000, I'm tempted. Maybe $5,000, all in $5,000, maybe. But not $6,000. It's just when you get to $6,000, it's like, okay, so this is the Speedmaster. We're talking about the Speedmaster, and you know what? The estimate was 4 to 6. It sold for $8,250.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking last week about some numbers like could go for 8, maybe even $12,000.
Yeah, just because of all the hype on the new release. So I think whoever owned this watch put this out on market at a good time, because I think like a year or two from now they're not going to get that. They're not going to get that for that watch.
Yeah, no, this is timing is everything with these things. The white dial. They're taking advantage of the white dial here. Let's see what else they have from last week. We saw this. Let's see. Okay, these are okay. We saw this is the week earlier. Okay, the week earlier. Yeah, so that's what's happening. I mean, this is no. They look. They're getting. I mean, this is actually some pretty strong numbers. It's like, but okay. So what's interesting with this auction was you had some like they obviously had a lot of eyeballs on this, right? Because you had, the Aquanaut sold for big money, 81 grand. You had the Moser sold for, it sold. I mean, anybody listen, 60 grand. That's a lot of money for a watch, right? It's like somebody, for Moser, like somebody's looking for that. The AP got pretty strong. I mean, for what it is, it got pretty strong money. And the Blanc Pan, I think, was like the bargain. This thing, I mean, the JLC was like sold hot. Now, what is this? I don't know what this is. Like, we didn't even talk about this. It's so weird. Hang on. Okay. Are you there?
Yep. Hello? Yep. I'm here. Yep. Yep. Oh. StreamYard kicked me off for some reason.
Oh, okay. So we got this Chaumet Jump Hour. What is this? Wow. So this had a 3,000 to 5,000 estimate. I don't think we didn't even talk about this watch. It was like, I mean, like we didn't even talk about this watch, right?
No, we did not.
It had a 3,000 to 5,000 estimate because, like, I don't know what like, to me, like, what is this? Like, I don't get it. And somebody got it because it sold for 21,000. A lot of interest. Look at this. A lot of interest.
Wow. Yeah.
Big money. I guess because it's it's kind of like an avant-garde thing for its time. Look at this. Rotating to showcase its avant-garde charm. No, but that's what it was. I mean, this is 30 years ago. I mean, this is what guys are doing today. Not like these brands like, whatever. These different brands, these oddball brands. Not MB&F, it's the other one. It's Urwerk or something, This is kind of like that Urwerk type of deal. It's just so ugly. Like, you just have this big piece of gold on your wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is to me, this has got to be the dumbest thing. What's interesting? I would have bet all the money in the world that this would have sold for like $3,000. Like nobody would. It might have passed. It might have passed.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, but also at the same time, I'm also thinking as like, all right, no, it does kind of make a little bit sense that there's interest in this watch. I didn't know it was gonna be $21,000 of interest, but I'm thinking is like, well, it's I forget like what percentage, but there's like a huge percentage of kids, and I guess like people that are like in their 20s don't know how to tell time on an analog watch or a clock.
Somebody told me this. Somebody told me this. I heard this. Wait a minute. I heard this a week ago from a guy who told me his daughter at school, at school, they don't know how to read time. And he's trained. Who did I heard? No, I heard this last week from a guy at a watch store. He told me that kids, in school, they don't teach them how to read time. Did you know about that?
Because I heard about it like a couple of years ago. It was mentioned, and then someone mentioned to me like about a month ago, because I was in this music practice room, and the wall clock there was something wrong with it. Maybe it was like needing a new battery or something.
Okay.
He was just explaining to me that one of his other students, like the kids, don't know how to tell time. So
wait a minute,
whatever that says is irrelevant.
Hold on a second. Seriously, he had students that didn't know how to read the time on that clock?
But they're not adult students. They're like they're younger. They're like maybe in their around the early teens.
Okay, but that's kind of like, I mean, no, that's crazy. That's actually pretty crazy. Because I think if I remember, when did they teach you how to read the time? like when you're 6 or something, 7. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
like maybe somewhere around like somewhere around third grade, somewhere around there. Yeah.
No, like I mean, it was like one of the first things I remember. It might have been like when I was like 6 or something, or 7. I don't know. It was like definitely. It was one of those early things, like very early.
Yeah. It's also kind of like the things where they don't really teach penmanship anymore. It's
I
like the
heard
kids
that.
they can't write in cursive.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. That's yeah, I think it's kind of that's interesting. Now, if that's if if they can't tell the time, does that mean that watch collecting is doomed for the next generation? That could be.
Maybe,
It could be.
maybe, or all the clocks and everything, they're all going to be jump hours.
You don't know. No, I think you don't know. Listen, no. From what I understand, a lot of kids like I'm talking about like millennials or something like 20-year-olds. They
Yeah.
don't know how to use a phone, like a desk phone, like like a stand, like they don't know what to do, or fax machine, or
Mhm.
like any type of office stuff. Well, okay, fax machine is okay. I don't think anybody. I can't remember the last time I sent a fax, but like like I don't know, like a desk phone, like they can't figure out like what they're supposed to do with it. There's something about it, like I don't know.
Or talking about the rotary dials.
No, regular push button. Forget about the rotary dial. I'm
Oh,
sure that was like
because that's kind of weird because it's like on your phone when you dial a number, like that keypad looks exactly like the keypad on a regular desk phone.
Yeah, but then you have to figure out. You have to pick up the receiver, right? You got to pick up that receiver, and what do you do
Yeah.
with it? Do you talk to it first? I'm sure that's what they're probably thinking.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. So it's no, it's interesting. No, this is a look. This is the surprising thing. You never know. You really never know what something is going to go for, especially these kind of like oddball things. These kind of more rare things. You don't know, like this AP moonface. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these on the market. So we kind of know it's going to be somewhere around $6,000, maybe eight, but $6,000 is the right price or whatever. Daytona, everybody knows. The Japanese Aquanaut, a little more unusual. This Chaumet thing is definitely like, I mean, how often do you see these? I mean, I don't know. Let's see what else you got. Yeah, they got some. What else did they have here? Yeah, you got So it's interesting stuff here. But that's it. Okay, so that wraps it up. Baron, thank you for joining in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And make sure you get our free weekly newsletter. And we'll see you next week. We'll have another show. I'm not sure what day, but there'll be a show next week. So make sure you get the notifications from the channel to know when is the next show. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Bye.